When you get dressed in the morning, what do you think about? Do you think about how men are gonna perceive you that day? Whether you will get some stares, whether you will get some people looking at you and complimenting you? So the question is, are you dressing for the male gaze? Let's talk about that. Warning, listening to us.
Might radicalize you.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Unholy Feminists with me, Kath, and Gail. Hello, Gail.
Gail. Hi, Kat. How you doing?
I'm doing. It feels like the January. Oh my God, it feels like January is the longest month ever. We're still in January, you know?
It actually is. Yes,
Yeah.
it actually is. Because how is today not the last day still? Tomorrow. Oh, I'm so over it. I'm over living. Kat. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I saw this post today where it's a meme and it said, "This can't be the life that I was putting a mask on in 2020." Right? We are trying to protect our lives, and this is
right.
the life? Oh my God.
Right. For this.
Yeah, oh
Something
my
I did
goodness.
not even ask for. I did not ask for this. I did not ask to be alive. I did not ask to be a human.
You know,
Oh.
this is a hot take, but every time, so in Asian culture, people like to say that you should be grateful for your parents for giving you life, for bringing you into this world. And my hot take is that
No.
exactly, I did not ask to be born in this late stage capitalistic world to grind every day. Please, just come on, did not ask for this. I was brought into this world without my consent. Hello.
I was talking to a friend of mine like 2 days ago, and I was saying how we are actually not living. This is literally survival. We are surviving. You go to work, you use your work to buy clothes, to pay bills, and then the cycle repeats itself. You wake up tired, but you still need to get to work. Even on days that your mental health is like taking a beating, you still need to work because the bills need to get paid. We are just surviving. There's no living. I did not ask for it. I'm not grateful.
Yeah,
I'm still not grateful.
and imagine what will happen when AI takes all the water, when the data centers will take all the water, and then we're going to be fighting each other for water as well. That plus
Yeah.
the climate catastrophe that will create a lot of climate refugees. That's going to be fun.
Yeah. So in Ghana, illegal mining is like taking over, and there's actually been predictions by experts that if it's not stopped by the year 2030, Ghana will have to be importing clean water.
Mm. Oh
And
my God.
2030 is literally like
4 years.
4 years
Yeah.
away. It's so bad that for a lot of people closer to like the mining places, pregnant women are giving birth with fetal abnormalities. But yeah, let's watch UAE build a gold district from all the proceeds. Yesterday I saw this report on Twitter about how like the percentage of gold reported in Ghana officially is not what the mining sector is actually coming out with. There are a lot of the gold being illegally sold to Dubai, and they are building a gold district in Dubai, and people are literally, the average Ghanaian cannot even afford to go to the hospital for something very little. So imagine kidney and liver, and you need to pay dialysis. Oh my.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am not grateful. I shouldn't be here to witness, to endure all this. Like, I did not ask for this. I'm sorry.
You know, when you were talking about kidneys, I remember reading this post last night about how the Guinness World Record has lifted a ban on Israel because Israel just broke the record for the most kidney donations ever. It was 2,000 kidney donations, which begged the question, whose kidneys is that?
Are they
Who
donating? Palestinians.
Exactly. It's so atrocious. It's like very dystopian because they're literally stealing Palestinians' kidneys to donate to break the Guinness World Record. Like, what is going on right now?
Can't. I can't.
All right. Anyway, we're steering way off topic. Let's go back. I feel like we are complaining in the intro of every single episode, so people who are listening are probably like, are these two ever happy? Ever in their lives? Why are they complaining all the time? They're talking about really depressing things. But anyway, yeah, I promise we're not happy. Anyway, the the topic today is about the male gaze, about dressing for the male gaze. Before I get into you know what? Let's just get into the rationale of why I wanted to talk about this episode. So, when we talk about dressing for the male gaze, we think about pick-me's. We think about women who center men, who dress in revealing clothing or whatever, or maybe not revealing clothing in order to please men, in order to please the male gaze. However, I saw this perspective, this post the other day, and it really got me thinking. Now, I'm gonna read the post for you. It's a little bit long, but bear with me here. So, the the title is, Do you think you don't dress for the male gaze? On the internet, dressing up for the male gaze is neatly defined. It means tight clothes, short skirts, and strategically flattering and revealing angles looking sexy, a paradigm most women believe to have left behind. What if we told you you're still dressing up for the male gaze? Stay with us for this one. Have you ever instinctively reached for a dubata before opening the door for a delivery boy? Worn pants over your shorts when a plumber was about to come home? Or you had to go down to talk to the security guard? Used a pillow to cover a low neck top in the presence of your male relatives? It's not about fashion or comfort, but about who might be watching. That's also dressing for the male gaze. This version of dressing up for a man isn't loud or obvious. It's subtle, almost subconscious, adding a layer, pulling your top down, pushing your neckline up, changing into something safer, not to look good, but to avoid attention. It's not always fear. Quite often, it's muscle memory. This is about the lens that women learn to view themselves from. The dominant gaze, reinforced in media and pop culture, places men in the authoritative position of observing, relegating women to the object of being observed. Women subconsciously adopt and internalize this foreign gaze, turning it into an inner critic that preempts discomfort, manages how they're perceived, hedges the risk of unwanted attention. Over time, women develop a strange relationship with their bodies. Am I comfortable becomes, is it okay for them to see? Our shoulders, chest, backs, thighs, and legs become things to be monitored and moderated, depending on who's around. The ownership of our safety, unfortunately, rests on our overburdened shoulders. The body and the outfit become a site of negotiation, not autonomy and expression as they're intended to be. What makes it harder to notice is how normal it feels to women. The perceived threat is real even when we are in the safety of our own homes, our poor parasympathetic nervous systems. There is no big incident, no clear threat. It's just learning how to exist in a body that's constantly treated as a mirror of someone else's gaze, not a biological entity, not a function of anatomy, not just another human being, but a battleground that has to be ready for war just in case someone chooses to wage. So yes, this is also dressing for the male gaze, and the sad truth for most women is that we end up doing it involuntarily. The difference is women don't do it to pander to the gaze, but to avoid it together. And once we see that irony, it becomes easier to introspect when you're dressing for yourself and when you're just trying to disappear. That awareness is where things start to shift. So, Gail, thoughts on that?
That's a lot. And that's such a unique perspective, because I've actually never thought of it that way. Because I know a lot of times, like you said in the beginning, when people think about dressing for the male gaze, is the definition that is like very neat. It's about wearing revealing clothes. It's about clothes that will make you look sexy or hot. People often forget that modest dressing is also dressing for the male gaze, because when you set out to dress modestly, a lot of times women's reason for dressing modestly is, to maybe find a man, because they assume that a woman who dresses modestly is a virtuous woman. So to find a man, one. Secondly, to avoid men treating or talking to you a certain way, because I really hate this thing. You dress how you want to be addressed, which is never true. It might work sometimes, but it's never always true, because you could be wearing the baggiest clothes, walking on the streets, and men will catcall and say all sorts of things about you. So I really hate that. So this is an amazing perspective that I've never thought of, because I do that.
Yeah.
I do that too. Like, if the last time I was here, my little sister came to visit, and I had just moved into this apartment, really new. So workers were still coming around. So I had an issue with my AC, and they were coming to fix it. And my sister was in the hall. She was like dressed in comfortable clothes, and I told her that she should go and put something on, because there are men coming in. And now that I think about it, like, that's crazy, because why did I unconsciously put the burden on her to look a certain way, to avoid these men looking at her? Why is it that women are always the ones who have to carry the burden of men not acting out on their, perverted sexual urges, or not being able to have sexual control? So I love it. Mind blown, because totally different perspective. I love that you shared it.
Yeah, I love that article too, because the moment that I read it, I was like, wow, I have never thought of it like that at all. And I thought, you know what, we should talk about this on the podcast. And I didn't send it to you because I wanted to see your real-time reaction to that.
Live reaction. Yeah.
Because you know what? As I read that, I also reflected on my behaviors in my life, and I realized that I have done that too. For example, when I dress in the way that I want, and I don't care about that, but then when I go on a panel and I sit on a chair in front of everyone, you instinctively reach for a pillow to place it in front of you if you're wearing a skirt, right?
Yes, yes, yes,
Exactly. And you're
yes.
doing that because you don't want men to perceive you in a certain way. You don't want men to, sexualize you or see your underwear or see your skin. And that is still centering men. And the act is so subconscious that you don't even think about how it centers men. We talk about decentering men all the time. And we talk about it in an angle that's about pleasing men, that's about caring what men think.
Yeah.
But there's also a flip to it. When you don't care, when you try to avoid the male gaze, you're also centering men in your life as well.
Yeah. I have this thing personally where I say I cannot avoid the male gaze. That's unavoidable, because it's not in my control how a man perceives me. It's not in my control how a man sees me. Again, going back to growing up, I heard this so much, and Like, it used to annoy me. Dress how you want to be addressed. You cannot control how a man decides to talk to you. You could be in like a suit. There are police women, there are detectives who are assaulted, who are sexualized by men. They are not doing anything. They are not wearing revealing clothes. It's just because you're existing as a woman. You're existing as a girl. I watched this TikTok video about, I think, 2 days ago, where she was talking about how she thought she was asexual but then she realized that as a woman, as a cis woman, in order for you to get your head in a sexual space, you also need to accept that men see you that way. It's not something as women can control. So the more you dwell on it, that yeah, I want to look this way so that men do not sexual, it is not possible. Women dress in hijabis, they get sexualized.
Yep.
Go under, like, a lot of the Muslim women influencers who are, like, promoting modest dressing and all that, you still see perverted men under their posts saying all kinds of things. Like, men are attracted to animals, for Christ's sake. Why?
It's really telling.
Why is a burden on us?
What's really telling is if you go on porn websites, you'll see that hijab, women wearing hijab, is a category in itself.
Yes.
Mia Khalifa, she got famous. Some of her most famous videos were her wearing a hijab. They sexualize that. They fetishize that even. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's really no avoiding it. There's this sudden rave of modesty dressing in gyms.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God. It's
babe.
happening too? It's happening in Ghana too?
Yes,
Oh my God.
I mean, literally everywhere. Modesty dressing, where, I mean, like, I could be in my two-piece set, very cute. I love revealing clothes. I love showing my body. I think I'm gorgeous as fuck, and I love wearing clothes that portray that. I love wearing clothes that makes me feel like, yeah, like when I look in the mirror, I want to be like, yeah, you are the shit.
Because you
I
are.
love wearing clothes like that. Right. So my gym clothes, literally, my shorts is literally under my ass, because that's how I want to dress. And then you see people looking at you weirdly, like, I'm like, I don't care. If you decide to work out in like loose baggy sweatpants, that's up to you. Like, that's your decision. But at the end of the day, babe, you are also still appealing to men. Because if you are not dressing modestly because it makes you feel good, and it's because you don't want men to look at you a certain way, you are in the same category as the girls who are dressing like me to the gym, but they are doing it to attract men. The difference is, I'm not doing it to attract men. I'm doing it because I feel amazing when I wear revealing clothes. I like looking sexy as fuck. Ugh.
Yeah, I get that. There's also a growing discourse here as well, talking about women and gym attire. So it originated from this post. I don't remember if it was posted by a man or a woman, but basically they said that they were asking, why are women wearing revealing clothing in the gym? Why do they want to show off their bodies like that? It's not proper. Speaking about this, when men go to the gym with their shirts off, and
Right.
grunting and groaning, like, what? We do not want to hear that. We do not want to see your sweaty
And no boxer shorts. No underwear. They just wear their pants. So now, as they are stimulated, it's in your face. Their boners are literally in your face, because their adrenaline is just, and they're doing all this grunting and going, and people do not say anything about that.
Yeah.
But let a woman wear a bralette in a gym, and suddenly
There's also this other post. I am digressing a little bit, but it frustrated me so much. And this came from a woman who who owns an organization that works with young girls who have been sexually assaulted. She posted saying that I am begging women to please stop wearing revealing clothing because you might not be the ones to be raped, but young girls end up being the one being raped because of your action. She is trying to say that, okay, the adult women might not be the one being raped, but the rapist would see that and then they would get the urge to rape other vulnerable young girls. I'm like, what the fuck
I'm
is wrong
sorry,
with you?
what?
Yeah.
Right. What's the correlation?
I have no idea. I don't
So
understand.
what? The rapist sees an adult woman in revealing clothes. He gets horny or whatever, but then he decides that, I should rather go and sexually assault a young person
Yeah.
because they can't fight back. Is she okay? That's I do not have nice words. The words that came to mind are ableist, so I'm not going to use them.
It's
Because
like
what the fuck?
it's like the pivoting the conversation, the pivoting the blame, because you know how we keep saying that women, it's not about the survivors or the victims' clothing, because women who wear hijabs, women who wear da da da, they also get sexually assaulted. So they pivot that by saying, okay, you might not be the one being sexually assaulted, but look, you're causing other girls to be sexually assaulted. Like, that is blaming women for something that is completely outside of our control, you know?
I'm sorry, but she's probably re-traumatizing all these girls under her. Because what's kind of, if she's in a space to even say this publicly, can you imagine the conversation she's having with the victims
Yeah.
and survivors?
Yeah, and she's pitting the girls
Ew.
against other women instead of blaming the perpetrators. She's like, okay, you were sexually assaulted because that random woman decided to wear like a revealing dress, whatever. So it's her fault. It's that random woman's fault, but not the perpetrator's fault. It's so fucked up, honestly. Anyway, going back to our conversation, please define the male gaze. What is the male gaze? I know it feels like we were talking about a completely different
God.
topic.
So I think personally, for me, when I think of the male gaze, if I decide to dress for the male gaze, it means I'm choosing to dress in a way that pleases men. I'm choosing to dress for male attention. I'm choosing to dress for, like, men's approval instead of my fashion sense, instead of my fashion style, instead of dressing in a way that makes me feel good, in a way that expresses my identity, that expresses, like, that I feel great. Like, I'm dressed like this because I feel great, as opposed to I'm dressed like this because I want men to see me and act a certain way. So that's why, again, I say that both of us have said that dressing for the male gaze is not just about wearing revealing clothes. You can dress modestly and you still be doing it for the male gaze. Like, literally, that's the whole check for, religious modesty, because they don't want you to lead men astray. They don't want you to lead men into temptation. So the burden is always put on women to dress a certain way in order for men not to act on their sexual urges, which is still dressing for the male gaze.
Okay, so I looked up the definition of the male gaze, and it is a key idea of feminist film theory. And the concept of the male gaze, it was introduced by scholar and filmmaker Laura Mulvey in her
Laura,
famous
yeah.
1975 essay Visual Pleasure and Narrative Cinema. So the male gaze invokes the sexual politics of the gaze and suggests a sexualized way of looking that empowers men and objectifies women. In the male gaze, woman is visually positioned as an object of heterosexual male desire. Her feelings, thoughts, and her own sexual drives are less important than her being framed by male desire, which makes the article make sense because now we are still, when we pull up our shirt, when we dress in baggy clothes because we don't want to get attention, we still think of ourselves as an object for male
Yeah.
desire. That is why we are trying to avoid that, but we're dressing for the male gaze because that's how we perceived ourselves as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I perfectly agree. So I feel like if you don't want to dress for the male gaze, it's just centering yourself. This is how I want to look like. So if a plumber, I know, like, I feel like maybe I'm digressing a little bit, but doesn't it feed a bit into rape culture when we say that if a man is coming into your house, like if a worker is coming into your house, you can't dress in like your comfortable clothes. You suddenly have to go and put on something to avoid. I
It does feel a little bit
it's
that
it's
way, yeah.
it go yeah, because I feel like it's sort of, it can go back to the whole conversation about, what you wear can lead to a man sexually assaulting you. So I definitely do think that it feeds into rape culture like a little bit, a male gaze.
Yeah, because if we say to ourselves, okay, the plumber is coming to visit, I'd better put on some sweatpants, for example. And if,
Yeah.
God forbid, in that situation, we got assaulted, God forbid, we would internalize that blame. We would say, if only I had worn the sweatpants instead of the shorts, then maybe that wouldn't have happened. Then we are internalizing that blame. So technically, it is feeding into rape culture, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I feel like women can't win, can't. We
So,
can't, as long as men, those kind of men live, we can't win.
so before I actually want to talk about that as well, but before we get into that, I want to talk about the drawbacks of dressing for the male gaze. What do you think are the drawbacks of that, of dressing for the male gaze?
I think a lot of times, sadly, we don't even realize as women that we are doing it. But what you are doing is just, creating impossible standards for yourself, and also reinforcing the fact that you are an object for men. Yes, I said it already that there are lots of things that are outside our control, like men objectifying us as women. But when you are consistently, whenever you need to step out, whenever you need to do anything, as long as you are looking for clothes, you are always thinking, okay, how can I dress so that I can attract male attention? Or how can I dress so that I can avoid male attention? You are reinforcing your objectification. You are reinforcing that you are an object for men to, like, to perceive. You are an object for men to look at and get some form of pleasure from. And my second point about creating impossible standards, the male gaze, honestly, I feel like the way the male gaze is set up, it's usually around like a specific body as women, because the male gaze puts femininity on a pedestal. The male gaze puts, thinness on a pedestal. And these things, a lot of times, they are not standards that a lot of women can actually live up to, or even should live up to.
Yeah.
Because these standards never actually are perpetual. They change. Like literally every decade or so, something else is in vogue. It was what? BBLs it was slim thick. Now almost everyone is on Ozempic trying to be thin for the fun of it because that's what's in vogue. And a lot of women are thinking that, for them to look good, they need to look a certain way. The male gaze is not something that you can keep up with. So it's impossible standards. It's impossible standards, and I feel like it puts too much burden and stress on women to like achieve certain standards, and also reinforces the fact that we are objects for men to look at for their pleasure.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's so exhausting to wake up in the morning and look at your closet and think, okay, what am I gonna wear today in order to draw men's attention? And you're constantly chasing that validation. You're not centering yourself. Um, and like I said, male validation is the cheap. I will continue to say this till the day I die. Male validation is the cheapest. Exactly, it's the cheapest currency there is. So please don't seek male validation. It is not worth it. It is okay if you're not desired by men. It's okay to not have a partner. It's okay to not have a husband. It's fine. Men are not all that. Um, but since we're also talking about the flip side of dressing for the male gaze, I want to reach a an important point in our conversation where you were diving in a little bit. But how can we, as women or femme presenting people, walk the line between addressing for ourselves and staying safe? It's a loaded question, I know.
It is. It really does. It really is a loaded question. Because I feel like it's not something I've personally unpacked.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though I I know that I no longer dress for the male gaze. Like whenever I'm stepping out now, a lot of times when I wear my sexy clothes and I wear my revealing clothes and my hot clothes, I still I'm a bit scared
Mm-hmm.
about looking like that outside. About the fact that it can definitely make it a bit easier for men to have access to me.
Yeah.
So it's I don't it's I've never been able to get rid of that. But I don't know if there are any practical steps we can take as women when it comes to our dressing, because you need to center yourself, you need to feel comfortable. But maybe there can be some collective action that we can take that does not have to do with our clothing. I don't know if that makes sense, because I don't think there's anything we can do about the way we dress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And for anyone listening right now, if you have any practical tips on that, please share them in the comments. Because when I was thinking about this question, I also had no idea how we can do that. Because I find myself, I also dress for myself. I like wearing revealing clothing and all of that as well. But sometimes I feel like when I wear a certain article of clothing or a dress, revealing dress, I feel great. I feel amazing. But when I step out and then I see men staring at me in a certain way, I can feel myself shrinking a bit. You kind of like, you try to shrink into yourself to avoid that gaze, to not be seen like that anymore. And sometimes you start to feel icky, like, oh my God, I just want to put a coat on me right now as I'm walking past this group of men, because suddenly I no longer feel safe in my body. Suddenly I no longer feel safe
Yeah.
wearing this. And I hate it so much because there have been times when I put on some clothing and I love that and I love how I look, but then being catcalled by men would immediately ruin that, would make you feel objectified, would make you feel sexualized. And suddenly you no longer feel like your body is your own. You know what I mean? And I hate that feeling so much. And
I
if
do.
yeah, and if I was being asked, okay, then how can you dress for yourself? How can you do all of that while also staying safe? I think unless we can dismantle patriarchy, unless we can stop rape culture, it's very difficult for women to stay safe in general, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly, because I feel like if we decide to have that conversation about, tips on how to dress for yourself, but like, still be safe, I think we will just start leaning into rape culture because yeah, there's literally nothing we as women can do because it's not our burden to carry. The onus is not on us. The onus is on men. It's on men and the people who assault us. We are usually the victims. We are usually the survivors. It is on the perpetrators. It's about finding ways to hold these people accountable. It's about finding ways to empower women, to letting them know that the way you look, the way you dress is never the problem. We unfortunately just live in a world where your safety as a woman or a girl can never be assured depending on what you wear. It's
Yeah.
so
Okay.
yeah.
So we're talking about practical tips, but are there anything mentally we can condition ourselves to think that can do that?
So I feel like for me, I'm just generally uncomfortable around groups of men.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to do with how I look. So you see the example you gave about, when you're passing by a group of men and you feel like, oh, I wish I had a coat on. I never I never go through that because whether I'm dressed fully clothed or in revealing clothes, as long as I'm passing by a group of men, I'm scared. There's so and it really never has to do about like my dressing. So I don't think I can help. Really. I'm saying all this. I'm saying all this to say that I'm flabbergasted today. I do not have any tips when it comes to this because we just live in a it's a terrible world, and I feel like we as women rise from like being a young girl, you are socialized across every culture. You are socialized to look a certain way. Even as a young girl, when family members are coming to the house, your mom does not even want you to be as a baby. They just don't even want you to be in your diaper walking around. They are going to put something on you because like men are coming around. So we it's been socialized like so deeply into our heads that I don't want to sound defeatist, but God, I don't even know if there are mental tips to like keep yourself safe. You are dressed as you want and still maintain like some mental safety for men. When I dress in revealing clothes, I'm just doing it solely because yeah, I look good as fuck when I look in the mirror, and for me, that's just it. Yeah, obviously there are times where I think, oh my god, what if, like, what if, and I'll be like, yeah, you know what, it's whatever, it's going to happen. If it will happen, it will happen anyway. It's not going to happen because of the way I'm dressed today. Because yeah, literally, like almost all the times I've been assaulted by men, I've not been in revealing clothes. It's just once that had happened when someone came to my house to help me. This is someone I was paying for a service, and I was in comfortable clothes. I was in shorts, my room shorts, and a big tee. And after he helped me fix whatever it was that he was fixing, and I paid him, he grabbed me from the back by
Oh.
my boobs, and he pressed my ass, and I froze. I was just standing there because that was literally the only time that I was wearing something that you could classify as revealing. Every time I've been assaulted by a man, I was fully covered up. So honestly, my experience do not let me put my head in that space. For me,
Mm-hmm.
it can happen to me at any time. So I'm like, you know what, fuck it. I'll look good anyway.
Mm-hmm. I am so sorry about that. I know you've told that story before, but every time I hear it, I
Yeah.
am just appalled, and I have this seething rage for that man and all the
Ugh.
men. Because why, you know, it is so, sometimes I can't wrap my head around the fact that these men exist to make women feel unsafe, you know? Why is that your life's mission, to make women feel unsafe, to make women feel like their body doesn't belong to them? That's such a horrid thing to be.
Yeah, that's why they always say like violence and assaults is always about power for them, because
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of those people feel like very little as human beings first, and
Mhm.
then they feel littler as men, and so when they get to make you feel like that, they get some power trip from it, because yeah, I'm this, big thing that can make a woman cover. I'm this big thing that can, have this big effect on a woman. So it's a power trip. It's always about power, because they do not have that power in their actual lives.
Yeah, and
Because this is a man I was paying.
yeah, exactly. And there have been researchers out there where they actually talked to rapists, and they confessed, they said that it was for power. It was because they wanted to punish the victims, the survivors. They wanted to feel
Yeah,
power over them. It's not about sex. It's not that they were horny. It's not
never.
about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. All right. Any last words or advice on this topic?
Yeah, really. I'm sorry we did not have any practical tips for you today, because this is definitely a very difficult and controversial topic.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, I think all I have to say is that there's no avoiding sexual assault. Honestly, it's not on you to avoid getting sexually assaulted. It's not on you for a man to like talk to you a certain way. You are actually not going to be addressed how you dress. It only works in certain situations, but let's stop putting that idea into our heads, because it just feeds into rape culture. It
Yeah.
feeds into victim blaming, that you need to look a certain way in order to be treated a certain way by men. Men do not give a fuck. Men, again, assault animals. Men assault children in diapers. Men assault months old babies. That's how bad it is. They assault old women who can't even get out of bed. They assault women in hijabs. It's never about what you're wearing. So if you are going to dress up, babe, do it for yourself. Do it so that you feel gorgeous, so that you feel confident, so you feel sexy, and so that when you look in the mirror, you be like, yeah, I'm out here. And love yourself, love your body. You are amazing. You do not exist solely as, an object for men
Mm-hmm.
to look at and feel some form of pleasure. You are not a project for men to get pleasure from. You are your own person, and own it through your clothes. Wear what you want to wear, and fuck these perverts.
Yeah, perfectly said. And also, men sexually assault women who are in a coma as well. And that happens a lot. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
guess to
yeah.
wrap things up, our bodies is our own. It's not an object for the male gaze, and the male gaze goes both ways, whether to please or to avoid the male gaze. It's still centering men. It's still dressing for the male gaze. So at the end of the day, it's not about what we wear, changing what we wear or dressing modestly is not gonna prevent us from being sexually assaulted. So please decenter yourself from men, detach yourself from men, fuck what those men have to say. The way to avoid being sexually
Yes.
assaulted is to dismantle rape culture, and we have to do that collectively together, not by dressing modestly. That's not gonna work. All right.
Yeah.
And thank you all so
No.
much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, you can follow us on our social media at Unholy Feminists, and you can also tune in to our episode on all podcast apps, and be sure to follow us, and yeah, tune in the next episode. We'll see you then. Take care. Bye.
Bye.